Imagine today is your first day at work, and then you are thrown with different looking data. Some of them are in the form of Excel that has so many tables, that has so many meanings. Each column defines a certain meaning, but you do not understand them. And it has numbers and you do not understand what value stands for. It is very, very common when you receive data for the first time, you will not normally understand what it means. Hence, to understand the data better, in this video, you will be learning how to explore the data using Pandas. Data exploration is one of the most crucial initial process performed by a data analyst to understand the data better and to uncover the characteristics of the data so that they could come up with meaningful prediction and better insight. We will be using a telecom industry data set and to achieve the desired results. Our trainer, Mr. Yash Sharma, will be teaching you step by step to perform data exploration using Pandas. So guys, get ready, and I hope you would really enjoy this video.
Okay guys, so now we are getting started with our project related to the data science library, and the name of this project is Exploratory Data Analysis, okay, with the Pandas. In statistics, exploratory data analysis is an approach to analyzing data sets to summarize their main characteristics. Basically, this exploratory data analysis is a statistician way of storytelling where you explore the data and find out the patterns. Exploratory data analysis is an approach or a philosophy for data analysis that employs a variety of techniques to maximize insight into a data set. Okay, let's say if someone asks you why you should use this exploratory data analysis in order to get the maximum insight of your data set, you need to make a use of this exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis helps you to uncover underlying structures, extract the important variable, detect outliers and anomalies. Anomalies and outliers means, let's say if there are some missing values or not, and test underlying assumption. So basically, if I summarize, exploratory data analysis is a process of organizing, plotting and summarizing a data set. Basically, in order to understand this data exploration, you need to understand what are the stages of the data scientist. Basically, a data scientist in very first approach, he'll analyze the data. Okay, what it will do, he'll analyze the data. Let's say you are a data scientist and it is not sure that all the time you'll have the same data. A university can hire you, an e-commerce company can hire you, so their data set will be different. A telecom industry can hire you, anyone can hire you as a data scientist. So what you will be doing is, firstly you will be analyzing the data. Now what do you mean by data analysis? While analyzing the data, you understand the data. Okay, what you'll do, you try to understand the data. Okay, what are the column names, what are the values in that column name, whether that column name comprises of some missing values or not. Okay, so what you'll do, you analyze the data, you'll make some prediction out of that data. Okay, you'll try to write some queries and you need to understand that data. Okay, so first of all, the very first stage is, guys, analyzing the data. Okay, and that data can be anything. Now, how data scientists actually explore the data, this is what we need to understand in this video. Okay, in this particular session, we'll understand that how data scientists perform exploratory data analysis on the data set. Guys, the data set which we will be dealing with today is the telecom industry. Okay, the data set which we will be analyzing is related to the telecom industry. In this data set, we have churn users. This data set is basically related to the churn users. Now, what do you mean by churn users? Basically, churn users are those users who left the subscription, Let's say earlier you were using something, okay, and now you are using something else. Okay, So basically the data set which we will be analyzing today is related to the telecom industry. In this data set you have the details of churn users. Churn users are actually those users who left the services, okay, who basically left the services. Okay, so this is the data set which we will be analyzing today. You'll try to understand why they left these telecom industry, okay, what is the reason behind their leaving, again what are the number of active users you are having in this telecom industry. So this is what we will be analyzing today in this project. Okay, so guys, basically these are some telecom industry. We have Celcom, we have Digi. Okay, now let's say why this Digi users converted themselves into the Celcom, or why Celcom users converted themselves to the Digi. So this is the telecom industry data, and this is what churn users is. Okay, so now first of all what we'll do, we'll start analyzing this data from the scratch. Okay, so you can name this project as an exploratory data analysis. And guys, one more thing I would like to tell you, in this we'll just understand the exploration. We're not gonna implement some machine learning algorithm because this is not in your curriculum, but yeah, before machine learning stages we'll explain everything to you. Okay, exploration, we'll try to understand the data. Okay, this is the main project in which we'll try to understand the data by deep diving into it. Okay, exploratory data analysis. So first of all guys, we need to import the required package. In this we will be using the NumPy. We're also using this Pandas. Here in this session we are also using this matplotlib. Okay, here you're also gonna make a use of this matplotlib in order to generate in order to understand our data in a graphical representation. Okay, so let's import that package later on, but before that we will be using these two packages, NumPy and the Pandas. Okay, so guys, first of all in our Excel we'll load the data set. We'll load the data set. The data set link I have already forwarded you in chat, so just make a use of pd.read_csv method and specify the location. This is the data set guys, telecom_churn.csv, and we'll print df.head. Only the top 5 records we will be printing out over here. Okay guys, so this is the data set guys which you will be dealing with today. Okay, so 5 rows and the 21 columns are there in it. Okay, so guys, please confirm me how many of you are done loading this data set in your Jupyter notebook. So guys, let's say you are new to this telecom industry and you are working as a data scientist. So first of all what you'll do, you'll try to understand this data, and how you can do that, let me show it to you. The very first approach which data scientists actually follows, they used to check the column names. Okay, and for that they make a use of this property columns, which is used to retrieve the column names. Okay, this simple property you can use, so make a use of this df.columns. And first of all, it's very important to know about the column names. Let's say if you want to deal with 2 total day calls, or let's say if you want to deal with total international minutes, you should be aware of this columns name. So now I would like to explain this data set to you. In this data set guys, we have state, we have account number, area code, phone number, whether that phone number has the international plan, voicemail plan, and the number of voicemail messages, total day minutes of that user, total day calls, let's say how many number of calls he initiated in a day, total day charge, evening minutes, how many minutes he used to spend in the evening, total evening calls, total evening charge, how many number of minutes me show it to you. df.info. Please listen, and this is going to be the complete summary of your data set. First of all, it will show you that this data frame, this df is actually belongs to Pandas data frame. Then in next line, it will tell you that in this data set we have entries starting from 0 till 3332. Then in next line, it will tell you that total 22 columns are there in this data set. And then it will tell you the column names, its index number, how many values are there in it. Okay, if it comprises of normal value and the data type. Okay, here you can see that it is an object. Account date is 64. Phone number is object. Total day basis is 464. So every information will be written here. And if you scroll down, it will gonna show you boolean value you have one. You have 8 float values, 8 integer values for object values. Where your object value is explained. And this is the information. This is really important to generate a full summary of your data set. It will help you to analyze your data in an easy Now guys, you can see that we are having this churn in a whole. You can see that it is false, 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 false. It's a boolean. Now I would like to show you that what kind of an approach you can follow. The first approach which I would like to show you, changing the data type from one column to another. Let's say changing the data type of one column to another data type. Let's say you're dealing with the data set and you want to change the data type of this churn. Data scientist can be your requirement that this data set should be integer or this particular records should belong to the float. The very first we have to look at how to change the data type. And for that we can make a use of this method as type, which is used to change data. Okay, which is used to change the data type. How you can make a use of it? It's very simple guys. Let's say I want to convert this churn user, which is in a boolean format, to integer. You can see that we are now, up till now we are getting this in a boolean. Now we are converting this from boolean to integer. So we need to add this df.churn. Okay, df.churn dot as type, and you want to convert that into system. You can simply write it integer. Okay, this value we need to add this first. Okay, and now if I again generate the full summary df.info, this time you can see earlier we are getting this in boolean. Now you have successfully converted this churn user into integer system. Okay, now false will be converted as 1 and true will be converted as 0. True will be converted as 1 and false will be as 0. So this is the standard approach. True will be converted into 1 and 0, or let's say false will be converted into a value of 0. Now we would like to understand one more important function which actually uses a data function, and the name of that method is Discharge. Basically, this Discharge is used to give statistical summary. Once you start learning the machine learning guys, you have to work with some statistical data. So in case if you want to generate statistical summary, you can make a use of this method Discharge. It is used to generate statistical summary of data. Okay, and here text values. So it will not gonna generate statistical summary of textual representations. Means it will not gonna generate statistical summary for state. It will not gonna generate statistical summary for your phone number, for your international plan, for your personal plan. But yeah, it will gonna generate statistical summary for the number of personal messages because it is in day minutes, it is in a flow, day chart, it is in a flow. So it will generate statistical summary for integer kind of flow. Let me show you how what kind of statistical summary this describe method generally generates. So df.describe, when you run this cell, has this kind of statistical summary you will increase the sample so that I can explain it to you. Firstly, it will show you what are the total number of values in this column account name. So we have 3,333 records. This is its mean value. This is its standard deviation value. This is the minimum value of account length. This is the maximum value of account length. At 25% interval we have this value. After 50% interval we have this value. After 75 interval we have this value. So this kind of statistical summary is generated by your describe. But here you can see that it will generate only summary for integer. Let me show you. Here state is an object, so you can see that the state will not be the state will not be the state will not be this describe is used to generate statistical summary of integer. What if you want to generate statistical summary of object? Then you need to follow some parameters. What you need to do is for this describe method, we need to specify some parameters. I'm just going to add a new set, and here we'll understand in order to see. Let's say if you want to see in order to see the statistical summary of non-numerical features, which means your object. So write it then as non-numerical features. As in machine learning, we used to call object as a non-numerical features. We need to use include parameter. We need to make a use of this include parameter in this program. How let me show you. Let me use this df.describe. By default, it will generate only the statistical summary for integer and float. But if you uses this parameter include, okay, and in this include what you can do, you can specify that I want to include object, I want to include boolean, and so on. And what will happen at this time, you will just have the statistical summary of object. This time it will not gonna print statistical summary for integer and float. This time it will gonna print statistical summary only for object and only for the boolean. So now if you do this, this is the statistical summary for your object values. Total number of values is total number of unique value, top occurrence of value, and this is what it will have. Now I would like to explain you each and every value on that. What is unique, what is common, everything like that. Let me do this. Now to simple to understand, guys, it is used to generate how many total number of values. We have 3,300. You need to understand this really top and because these things will not require any explanation. These mean values, standard deviation values, minimum values, maximum value. But you need to understand this unique top and frequency. So let me show you these unique top and frequency with the help of some simple examples. certain values I need to repeat as well. A, B, C. I hope you understood this. What do you mean by this? Describe now. Okay, so in statistical summary, describe will generate only for integer and float. If you want to include these object and boolean, just make a use of this include parameter. Okay, so now let's proceed further. Now let's say guys, if you want to check how many users are churn users here. Okay, let's say in this data set, if you want to cross check how many users are our active users and how many users are our churn user. So at that point of time, you can make a use of this method value underscore counts. It will tell you how many times this value has been repeated. Okay, so I'm just going to execute this value underscore count on my column name churn. So I'll do that df churn, because in churn we have only two information, whether our user is a churn user or is an active user. I'll make a use of this value underscore counts and I'll execute this over there. So guys, this 0 means these are our active user, but this 1 indicate that 483 are what? These are your churn users. Okay, if you want to cross check how many users are active and how many users are churn user in this data set, you can simply make a use of this value underscore counts method. Okay, so 0 we have 2850 and 1 we have 483. Okay, let's execute this. Okay, and now guys, what you can do is, let's say you want to analyze your data, and let me show you. I'll print that df dot head 3. So we have this. Okay, let's say now what you need to do is, you are dealing with this total day charge. Okay, now you can see that this total day charge is not in an ascending or not in a descending order. It is 45, it is 27, it is a 41. Now suppose you are dealing with this total day charge, and you want to perform some kind of a sorting operation over there. You want them to get printed in an ascending order, or you want them to get printed in a descending order. How you can do that? Let me show it to you. Okay, so basically, if you ever want to perform some kind of a sorting operation in any column, okay, data set may be differ. So how you can do that? Let's understand performing sorting. Okay, let's say you have a data set of students, and you want to sort that data based on their marks. You want to sort that data based on their number of attendance. So how you can perform sorting? So let's say for that you can make a use of this method sort_values. Okay, and now you need to make a use of this parameter by, and in this by you need to specify the column name which you want to sort. Okay, here we are sorting the value on the basis of, and now here we need to specify our column name. So let me just write total day charge. Let's say I'll take an example of this total day charge. Guys, you do not make any spelling mistake, you need to write as it is. Okay, you can see this total day charge is in a lowercase, so I'll write the same. Okay, total day charge, and I'll make a use of this head. So by default it will gonna print you in an ascending order. Okay, let me just retrieve the top 10 records, ascending order, and when I print this cell, so you just need to have a look. This total day charge will be sorted 0 0 0 1 1 2. Okay, now you can see that it is in ascending order. Okay, consider a scenario where you will be dealing with university data and you need to sort that data on the basis of student marks, on the basis of student attendance. You can simply make a use of the sort_values by, specify the column names which you want to sort, and done. Okay, so it will gonna sort you in an ascending order. Now if you wanna sort in descending order, guys, okay, if you, let's say, wanted to sort in a descending order, what you can do is, I'll add a new cell over there. Okay, and I'll tell you that how to perform sorting using descending order. For that, what you need to do is make a use of this df.sort_values by, make a use of this variable column name total day charge, and this time you need to specify this parameter, guys, ascending is equal to 4. That's it, and it will gonna sort you in a descending order. Okay, and now I'll make a use of this head 10, and when we run the cell, so now you can see that it will be sorted in a descending order, 59, 58, 58, 57, and so on. So while analyzing the data, guys, any query you can raise, any query, okay, because once you feed this data set to any machine learning algorithm, it's your responsibility to understand this data first. Okay, and then only you can apply a suitable machine learning algorithm. So this is the project in which we will be learning that how to understand the data. So guys, let's say if you want to sort multiple columns together, what you can do is you can follow this approach, df.sort_values. Okay, now you can specify by, and this time you can specify a list over there. Okay, let's say I am gonna sort this number of total day minutes. Okay, let me just start this total day minutes, and also I'll gonna sort this total day charge, or let's say the total day calls. Okay, so now I'll make a use of this head 10, and when you run the cell, okay, so total day minutes will be in an ascending order. Okay, and total day calls will be sort as well. Okay, you need to execute this very carefully, guys. If you want to do this, you can do this like this, but it's not a recommended approach. Never go for it, because while analyzing the data set, you need to analyze them one by one. Okay, so I'll just remove this. It's just for your understanding. I'll not recommend this approach to you. Okay, because sometimes it will generate true result and sometimes it will generate some invalid results. Now now we will be understanding some basic queries, and then we'll discuss about some advanced queries. Let's say you have this data set and you have some questions in your mind which you wanted to ask from this data set. Okay, let's say the first question is, I wanted to know what is the maximum value of total day charge. Okay, I want to cross check what is the maximum value of total day charge. How we can do this? Let me show it to you. From my data frame, I'll specify my column name total day charge, and this time guys you can simply write this maximum. Okay, and when you run this cell, maximum value will be printed to you. Okay. So these are very simple queries. I want to check the minimum, I want to check the sum. You can make a use of this inbuilt functions. Now let's discuss about some advanced queries. Okay guys, you need to understand this very carefully because we will be discussing about two query. One query I am gonna explain it to you, and the second query you need to tell me. Okay, so let's say I'll show it to you some advanced queries. Here do not think these queries or do not relate these queries with an SQL. Here query means I'm having some doubts and I want to resolve those doubts. Okay, you have some questions and you want those questions answer from your data set. So these are queries over here. So this is my first question. How much time on an average do churn users, so guys who are churn users who left our subscription, how much time on an average do churn users spend on phone during, let's say, daytime? Let's say if you have a user who is not using your phone, then he or she can become a churn user. So it's a valid question. First of all, I want to check that why that user become a churn user. So first of all, I'm going to check how much time on an average do churn users spend on phone during the daytime. If the answer is 0, it means that he's not using our subscription and that is the reason why he left our subscription, or it can be anything. Okay, so this is a valid question. Okay, here I am checking whether our churn users spending some time on our phone or not. If they're not, definitely they'll leave the subscription, and if they are, and if still they are left our subscription, then we need to cross check. Why so? So let's say how you can do it. So let me show you. Basically here I am interested in only churn users. Here we are not raising these questions on our active users. Here our main concern is only our churn users. So I'll do that df. Okay, I'll filter out this query. I'll return only those records where df churn is equal to 1. First of all, let me show you what this will do. Here guys, you will be gonna have records only of a churn user. You can see 1111111. Okay, here what this approach will do, this approach will only give you the information of your churn users. Okay, and now I need to find out an average. So this is what I can do is I'll make a use of this column total day minutes dot mean. Total day minutes dot mean. What this mean will do? Mean will gonna compute a mean value for us because we need to check an average over there. Okay, so now when we run this cell, this is the answer. This is the average of churn users who used to spend their time on phone in a day. Okay, total day minutes dot mean. So guys, now I'll do that the same thing for my active users. Let's see that how active users spend on phone during daytime. So what you need to do is you just need to write 0 over there and then you need to run this cell. Okay, so you can see that their average is 175. So now this is an area of concern because churns users are spending 206 and active users are spending less. So now it's an area of concern that might be another problem why they have left our subscription, because now you can see active users are spending less time than your churn users. Okay, so now it's an area of concern why they become our churn user. Okay, so basically these kinds of a query you can ask from your data set. You need to find out an average time or whatever query it can be. Okay, let me show you another advanced query which will help you to understand your data set in a more better way. Now this time we'll check what is the maximum length or duration of international calls among loyal users, which means our active users, among loyal users. Okay, here I am gonna check how many of our loyal users using this international calls. What is the maximum duration of international calls they have made it. So now here I'll do the same approach. First of all, you need to filter out. Okay, first of all, I am here just interested in churn is equal to 0. Okay, and now what you can do is you can raise like this: total international calls dot maximum. Okay, so this is the total number of international calls among your loyal user. Okay, so we have one user in our data set who is making an international call of, let's say, 19 minutes. Okay, so this kinds of query you can raise on your data set. This is what exploration means. You're trying to understand your data first. Now let's say guys, I told you to retrieve the maximum value for every column. Okay, if you make a use of this df dot maximum, let me show you. If you use this approach df dot maximum, okay, it will gonna give you the maximum from every column. It will give you this is the maximum value, this is the maximum value, this is the maximum value, and so on. These are what? These are our maximum values. Okay, now same thing you can achieve by using lambda functions. Remember lambda functions? I told you that lambda function is basically used to solve your task. Very simple. Now this is an advanced query guys which you need to understand very carefully. Okay, let's see. Please help me to retrieve. Consider a scenario, you are a data scientist and I told you to retrieve only those records where state starts with the letter W. Let's say I am an owner and I came to know one thing that let's say we have one city and let's call the city as World Heritage. Let's say this is the name of my city, World Heritage, and I came to know that churn users, that my maximum churn users are belong to this area. Okay, so now what I need to do is, I told you to retrieve only those records where state starts with the letter W, because I am an owner and I come to know that peoples who are becoming my churn users are more in this area. So guys, can you help me out in order to write this query? Try to execute this and do let me know. Now guys, in order to retrieve this information in this demo, we will be using a lambda function. Okay, and remember lambda receive an argument and an expression from us. So first of all, you need to filter out that you just want this piece of information, df state. Okay, you just want this piece of information, df.state.head. Okay, I'm getting an error, none of index. Okay, not a problem. So let's say here we are just interested in fetching this information, df.state. Okay, df state. Okay, so first of all, I'll filter out this from df. I just want this state information. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to apply a lambda function over there. So while you are working with a data set, and if you want to apply a lambda function, guys, you need to make a use of this method apply. Let's say you're dealing with some data set and you want to apply a lambda function over there, then you need to make a use of this function first, apply. Now within this apply, you will about to write your lambda expression. So we'll make a use of this lambda keyword. We'll pass every state. Okay, and here I just wanna retrieve that information which starts with the 0. Okay, where state 0th character start from the W. Understood this lambda expression, guys? First of all, you are passing the state, so every state will be passing over there. Okay, and now after passing every state, you are stating that I just want to retrieve those states whose 0th character is equivalent to the W. And now if you make a use of this head, okay, so now you can see that only those state information will be retrieved who starts with the W. Okay, who starts with the W. So this is how you can execute queries on your data set. So guys, after analyzing your queries or after retrieving the piece of information from this data set, now the next step data scientists will do is to check the missing values. So we already discussed about that missing value, so we are not gonna discuss that because this data set does not comprise of any missing value. But consider a scenario you are dealing with the data set and you got some missing value. So let me check this whether this data set has some missing value or not. df.isNull .sum. So you can see that if you get 1 or 2 value, it means that you have some missing value. Now you all know that how to handle the missing value. So we are not going to discuss that because the dataset which I have provided you does not contains any missing value. But if there is some missing value, you should handle those missing value first. You need to clean that data and then you can proceed further. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll now understand that how to generate graphs out of this data set. Let's say I told you to represent the information of churn user in a pictorial representation. How you can do that? Okay, so let's say we need to make a use of this matplotlib library, but nowadays in 2020, guys, we are no longer uses this matplotlib library. However, matplotlib library is not obsolete, but we have a new version of this matplotlib library, and that is our Seaborn data visualization library. Seaborn data visualization library. Okay, so guys, basically this Seaborn is a pretty attractive graphing library which is used to generate your graphs in a more presentable manner. Okay, so guys, using the Seaborn library you can represent your data sets like this. If I click over there, so these kinds of information you can generate. Okay, there are many styles available in this Seaborn library. So guys, these kinds of graph you can generate. Okay, let's say if you want to generate this kind of a graph using matplotlib, it is a little bit tough, but if you use the Seaborn library you can have this graph like this. Okay, there are many styles which you can make a use of. Okay, so now instead of using this matplotlib library, guys, let's make a use of the Seaborn data visualization library because you already know about the matplotlib. So now let's discuss about the Seaborn data visualization library. Yes, please.
And can you please show me the previous cell?
So guys, if you want to make a use of the Seaborn data visualization library, you need to import its package. First import Seaborn. And what do you mean by Seaborn? Seaborn is also a data visualization library, and it is the updated version of your Matplotlib. Okay, it will represent your graphs in a more presentable manner. Import Seaborn as SNS. Okay, you can give any name. Here I am just using SNS. And first of all, what you need to do is, guys, you need to set the configuration as Seaborn. You need to set the configuration as Seaborn. Which specify that here you are not gonna use a Matplotlib library. Instead, you will be using the Seaborn library. So we need to set the configuration as Seaborn. And how you can do that? It's very simple, guys. You just need to write sns.set. Okay, sns.set. Guys, basically the Matplotlib library used to generate our graphs in a JPG or in a PNG format. But if I talk about an SVG format, which is more sharper and clearer, so SNS using Seaborn library, what you can do is you can set the extensions of your graph as SVG. SVG is more sharper and clearer than your PNG and then your JPG. Okay, so here what I will do is I'll set Seaborn graphs as SVG, scalable vector graphic format. SVG is what? It is more clearer and sharper than your PNG and then your JPEG format. Okay, and in order to do so, you just need to make a use of this %sign configuration. Make a use of this inline backend, the figure which you will be gonna generate in your backend. The format of that figure will be SVG. So this is the syntax you need to write, %config, which means you are setting one configuration inline backend dot figure underscore format is equal to SVG. Okay, and guys, now you need to run this cell first, and then I recommend you to write your further code. So guys, after importing this library, now here I want to generate graph of my active users, of my active and churn users. Okay, so let's do that with the help of this Seaborn data science library. So here what I'll do, I'll make a use of this graph count plot, basically, which is used to count the values. Okay, here what you need to do is, in your x-axis, guys, okay, in your x-axis you need to specify the column name. We have this column name churn. Okay, and from where this churn value will be retrieved. So you need to specify your data as df. Okay, remember we have data in our this df variable at the very first cell. If I go at the top, so you can see that we have our data in this variable df. So from where it will gonna load the information of churn from this data. And guys, nothing you need to type in, no title, no label, nothing. The moment when you run the cell, okay, a graph will be generated, and you can see it's a clearer and a sharper graph. Okay, so now you can analyze this concept very easily, guys, that this is your active users and these are your churn users. So count will be added automatically and the churn will be added automatically over here. Okay guys, so this is the benefit of using this Seaborn data science library. Okay, and guys, this completes our exploratory data analysis, because after exploratory data analysis, the next step is to implement a suitable machine learning algorithm. Okay, and in this course we will not cover the concept of machine learning, that we will be discussing in our some next course. So, okay, so this completes our exploratory data analysis. Just execute this and please do let me know once you are done.